Hello and welcome back to the Coffin Lounge. I'm your host, VampireKitten, and this is episode 6. Please welcome Mantis Athena, who is an alternative model in Kansas City. What's up? How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. I'm actually really excited to talk to you because I have been involved in alternative modeling for a while, and I love to see more growth in that department. Like, because I want spooky babes to rule the world, like, for real.
I love spooky babes.
Who
Right there with
doesn't love spooky babes? Like, they're
you.
so I always say, like, the scariest looking people are always the nicest people in the world.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like so true half the time. Well, most of the time, like 99.9% of the time. So,
Yeah, I love girls that make me feel scare-roused.
scare
Not sure if it's scared
roused.
or aroused.
I love it. I actually haven't heard that term before. So now I'm going to use it all the time. I hope that's okay.
That's totally fine. I heard it from somebody else.
Okay, perfect. So I guess let's just start from your beginnings. What are you originally from, like, the Midwest?
Yeah, I was born on the Organic Valley farm, actually, in Wisconsin. My parents were really tight with the people, and they worked there as farmhands. And yeah, I was born on the Organic Valley farm.
That's wait,
Like the
like
milk
the people
brand,
who
yeah.
make milk? Okay.
Yes.
Wait. No, you you can't, like, you can't start a conversation with, like, I was born where this brand of milk was made, and then not, like, explain the story of how that happened. Like, so we
I
have to
mean,
discuss it. Just like
my mom and dad, they lived on the farm. They were living farmhands. My dad took care of the horses, and my mom took care of like events and just doing random farm chores. And yeah, they lived in a cabin, and I was born in that cabin. And yeah,
okay, I mean,
deep
that's
ties
cool.
to the dairy
That's
industry.
definitely farm life. Wow. So do you consider yourself, like, more of a country girl or a city girl?
It's weird because I grew up the first like 9 years of my life basically as a hippie, and then I went from that to being in a super religious household where I was kind of sheltered from everything, and that to the city. So I'm kind of half and half. I'm a country girl at heart, but I can be mean enough for the city.
I am literally that person as well. Like, I am kind of from a sort of rural, I guess I lived and grew up in a rural area, the desert, and then I moved to, like, Los Angeles, and so, like, I am so used to, like, big city life, but I also really appreciate what it's like to not have any, like, city noise.
Oh,
You know
yeah,
what I
the quiet,
mean?
being able to see the night
The
sky and all this.
stars.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Look at us. We're terrible. We're like, let's reminisce.
I mean, one day I'd like to go back to the country, but for now there's just more opportunities in the city. It's just more stuff going on.
Oh, that's for
I'd
sure.
like to live farther out, but I don't really want to drive an hour every time I want to come out to an event.
I think our issue is that we wouldn't have great internet, and I stream and we play a lot of games. So I think, like, at the end of the day, it would probably be pretty terrible unless we can get, like, fiber out in the, like, the boonies. I don't
Or like
think it's gonna
the
work out.
Elon Musk internet, the Starlink or whatever it's called.
Oh, right. Is that Elon Musk?
Apparently, it's one of those super uber
Like
rich
a
people.
satellite internet?
Yeah, but apparently you have to be on a waiting list for a while to actually get it.
Seriously?
So, yeah, but it's good once you get it. You just have to be on a waiting list for a really long time. I have one friend that she's been trying to get it for over a year now.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's
Yeah.
okay. That's nuts. Someday soon, we'll be able to do that. So you went from a farm to hippie life to the city life, and then how did you go from that to modeling? Like, where's the in between?
Um, Probably start when I got my first smartphone. Although I was always just really into dressing up and stuff. I was given a video camera as a gift for my 12th birthday, and I would go around and make a whole bunch of cute little movies and stuff as a kid. I got my
That's cute.
first smartphone when I was 16. which led to me having a Facebook and an Instagram, and I got really into cosplay at that time, and I was fortunate enough to live with my aunt and uncle, and my uncle funded all of my cosplay dreams. He built me a craft room, he bought me a sewing machine, he bought me pretty much any fabric or craft supplies I could possibly want. And that really kind of like started me in the modeling and the creativeness and the cosplay and stuff. Back then I was a lot more into anime though. I did a lot of anime stuff and superheroes.
I think cosplay is a good start to like being.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of it's like kind of a gateway drug now for a
Yeah,
lot of
for sure.
artists to sort of like grow and model and learn about posing and crafting and
Learn
things.
about making costumes too, because you have to see something on the screen and then replicate it yourself. And a lot of that's like it takes so many different teams to make one costume
Hmm.
in like a major film, and you're just one person doing 10 different jobs making one piece, and you just learn so much. It's a learning process for sure.
So what? So you went from anime to horror? You just like took made that leap, or did
I
you?
mean, I've always been a horror fan. Growing up Christian, I really wasn't allowed to watch a lot of horror stuff, but like I've always been a fan of the spooky and the macabre. Scooby-Doo is probably my favorite, one of my favorite cartoons growing up. Um, just always been a fan of the creepy stuff, and this I've always befriended spiders and all of that stuff. So once I was kind of able to be off on my own and consume the media that I wanted to consume, I was just like, all right, spooky shit, let's do it.
I think it's interesting. Let's. I want to talk about a little bit about this because you had mentioned you love like Scooby Doo and things growing up. Cartoons have changed so much. In
Really? I
like,
tried to watch the new Scooby-Doo and I'm like,
it's not good. I've seen so many memes of like when we grew up as kids, and we had things like Courage the Cowardly Dog, which was
yep.
horrifying. We had Scooby Doo. We had all of these really scary films and cartoons that,
Mandy.
yeah, Billy and Mandy. Like people,
Growing up creepy, it was a little goth girl that grew up and lived with bugs.
right? There we had Invader Zim. We also had some really really gross stuff. Like we had Ren and Stimpy. We had a lot of stuff that was like that wouldn't pass today. Like would not fly as kids entertainment today.
I
And
think the
it's
standards are just a lot higher now.
that's true. But
Probably
like
for the
we
best.
but we also grew up with things like Beetlejuice and Tim Burton was a huge part of all of our lives. Like
Oh yeah.
um also speaking of which, rest in peace, Paul Rubens. We kind of need to talk a little bit about that because Paul Rubens was such a big influence on spooky media. Like people
Mm.
don't realize how much of an influence he was on spooky media. Like he gave Tim Burton the chance to be Tim Burton, and we wouldn't have him and all of the work that they had done. And like he was even Penguin in one of the Batman movies, and then he ended up being Penguin again, I think, in one of the series. He was a vampire, so he was in What We Do in the Shadows pretty recently. Like we'll miss you, Paul Rubens, like for sure, because Pee-wee was, I don't know, was Pee-wee a big part of your life? I like it was mine.
Not really, no.
Yeah, I was terrified of Large Marge. She was super scary. But yeah, so I think that our what we had grown up with media wise is just so different now from what kids. I think we're getting back to that. I think we're trying. Like we have the new Beetlejuice coming out.
I
Um,
do like some of there's a couple newer shows that I appreciate. They might not be on like the gothier side, but they definitely do send good message. Like Steven Universe, that's a kids show.
it. I think it's more than a kids show. I love Adventure Time. I think Adventure Time is so.
That is one of my
It's
favorites, especially
amazing.
like the new ones that they released like semi recently.
Hmm.
They're like in the underworld trying to like go through like
I haven't
the
even seen those
afterlife.
yet. I thought they were finishing it. I thought season nine
So
was the
they did.
last
So they
one.
released three after they finished the series, and they released three standalone episodes. Each are like an hour long. One follows Marceline and Bubblegum. One follows BMO, and then the other one is Finn and Jake.
Cute. I'm gonna have to look at
They're
those.
they're good. They're really good.
So going back to this, like I think we grew up differently. Actually, before we move on, what did you think of Wednesday? Did you like Wednesday?
Um, I mean, I thought it was a decent show, you know, like I grew up watching the Addams Family, so I really liked both the black and white versions and the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I definitely didn't, there was a couple things I didn't like about it. I really didn't like how they portrayed Gomez and Morticia,
I didn't
and they
either.
kind of just made the whole family like silly and not as supportive, because one of the things that I really liked about the movie and the TV series is all the kids would get up to these crazy antics and the parents are just like, okay, we love you and support you. And now it's showing teenage angst and like fighting between the mom and the daughter. And I'm like, that's not
I
really the original message of
I 100% agree with that. I think that they really messed up with Gomez and Morticia. I feel like Morticia tried, but
it
the
was okay.
writing
The whole
wasn't.
thing's silly. She's silly. And I know it's supposed to be silly, but it's more of a campy silly than a goofy silly.
And then, did you see the CGI Adams Families?
I think I tried to watch it and I was like,
So
uh,
the first one I couldn't watch the first time, and then I tried it again and I got through it. And what I didn't like about that one as well is that people were trying to change the Adams too much, and that's not what their vibe is. They don't care what people think. But the first movie was pretty much a lot of them caring what other people think, and I didn't like that. But I will say the second one is worth a watch.
yeah.
It is very cute. And Wednesday, basically the whole movie is Wednesday doesn't believe that she's maybe an Addams.
No.
And so I think it's worth a watch because the Gomez and Morticia are really good in it. All the characters are really good in it. Also, Snoop Dogg as Cousin It is just so good. I don't like
That's so
I'm not
funny.
even mad about it. It's so cute. All right.
No, I like the popularity around like Wednesday and stuff, but it gets a little annoying sometimes because yes, it brings a whole bunch of people into the goth trend, but it also kind of brings a bunch of people into the goth trend, you know? And as much as I appreciate shedding some light on this beautiful culture that I've fallen in love with so much, it's kind of annoying to get called Wednesday Addams when I go out places. It happens very
My
often.
my favorite is isn't it a little early for Halloween?
Yep. Yep.
Because we're getting into August, and now it's
hmm
gonna be like, isn't it a little early for Halloween?
Oh, yep. I'll get
Yeah.
older people to come up and like, well,
Well,
I guess it is Halloween soon.
it's like, I don't know, bro. Didn't you graduate 20 years ago?
No, I went
Like,
to
still
I went
wearing what you're wearing. Leave us alone.
no, I went to Planet Comic Con just as myself because I was only able to go for a little bit before work, and I had a couple people just be like, "Oh my God, you Wednesday," and I'm like, "I'm not." I I was wearing like I was wearing like a metal band t-shirt
Hmm.
with green on it because it was St. Patrick's Day and like ripped up jeans, and I had my hair like down, and people were still like, "Oh my God, your Wednesday is so good."
I think I was wearing something like this at Planet Comic Con, and people kept wanting to take pictures of me. I was just like, I'm not. I mean, it's cute. Whatever. It's fine. But I think that's actually important to talk about too. I know we're kind of like totally getting off topic, but this is good because what do you think about the fetishization of the goth subgenre?
Oh goodness.
I know I threw a big one at you.
Yeah, no. So I definitely experienced a lot of it firsthand with I've done I used to do OnlyFans. I don't do it anymore because I kind of graduated from OnlyFans to like horror modeling and whatnot. But yeah, I did OnlyFans for about 5 years as a goth model. And I also was a exotic dancer for 5 years as well. Those kind of went hand in hand, and definitely see a lot of it. You get a lot of comments like, I don't like girls like you, but I have a brother that's really into the goth girl vibes, or just people just making assumptions about how I look. People are like, you're one of those goth girls. You probably like being choked, don't you? Mm.
Why is it that people just assume that? Like,
Like, yes, I do like being choked, but you don't have to assume it.
right? Like, hey, let's just, how about we just have a conversation first and see where this goes? Not like,
I think it's just men seem to assume just because you're goth and you wear extra makeup and the whole look that you're
that you're more permissive.
hypersexual.
Yep.
Like it seems to just be this thing around goth girls that we're hypersexual, we're into stuff, and we're freaks in the sheets when it's not always like that. Sure,
No.
I know some people that are freaks, but honestly, I'm demisexual. Like, I don't just hook up with people. I need to have dinner and actually get to know somebody for a while before I feel comfortable with them.
Right. Yeah, I think that the misconceptions surrounding the goth community is really interesting. I think it's just easy to assume based off of like media how
Yeah.
things are, and when in actuality it couldn't be further from the truth. Did you ever see did you ever see that TikTok going around where a mom was explaining to her kids that if you see a goth person and you are lost, go find the goth person because they will help you find your mom?
I don't think I've seen that.
It's so cute. I should send it to you. But like it's another example of like goth people aren't what you think they are,
Yeah.
you know? And a huge part of why I love doing this podcast is because I want people to understand that just because it's a scary subculture or a what looks to be in a very open sexual subculture, whatever, like furries have the same problem. Not all
Mm.
of their subculture is just a bunch of for sex. You know, it's not like yiffing all the time. That's not what they do at conventions. And I think people need to understand that that's just such a small portion of what the subculture means to so many people. Um, so you were talking about being an exotic dancer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
5
What?
years here in Kansas City.
Okay. How did that start? And
Oh, goodness.
what I'm curious. Like let's just go into that. What
It started when I was 18.
okay.
I didn't have a job. I was just kind of, messing around, enjoying life, and I had a roommate at a time that she started working at one of the clubs in downtown Kansas City,
Hmm.
and I saw that she was making a lot of money and doing really good. I was like, all right, this looks like something that I could be into. So I started, and it's so cringe to think of myself when I first started because there's a lot of things you don't know when you first start.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I was dancing ever since for 5 years. I had a couple breaks like over COVID. Definitely had a little bit of a break there. Um, but yeah, there was definitely some ups and downs. More downs than ups for sure. Sometimes it's definitely a little bit difficult being on the thicker side when you go into the industry.
Right.
A lot of it is about confidence too and how you carry yourself, but I have been turned down from four clubs in Kansas City for my size alone.
That's wild.
And it's definitely it takes a toll. It took a huge toll on my mental health just feeling like that, especially some of the things that was told to me. Like I went to one kind of popular spot around here with my friend, and she's smaller and petite. And when we went in there, the manager interviewed both of us at the same time, but pretty much ignored me and spoke over me the whole interview and
Oh,
just talked to her. And then at the end of the interview, told me that I could come back maybe if I parted my hair differently, and she could come back, or he would consider me if I parted my hair differently, and she could come back if she ate a sandwich.
well, I would have been like, thanks, but no thanks. Bye. It's
We didn't
gross.
go
That's so rude.
They don't care. They are so rude. I
Um,
had another club that I applied to, and my friend overheard him having a conversation with one of the managers, that he basically said, I do not hire thick girls because I don't know if they're gonna look naked. They look good naked. And yeah.
Did you hear about the girls that the strip club that unionized?
Where no, I haven't.
So yeah, there's a group of women in Los Angeles bar that actually May 2023 was when they unionized. They wanted to be recognized as a strippers union because they wanted safer workplace conditions, better pay, and health insurance. And I'm sure it was probably the treatment that they were receiving. Those girls get treated like shit, like absolute shit. And it's sex work is real work, in my opinion.
Sure.
As long as it is safe, I don't see what's wrong with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But these girls are working in shitty situations, like exactly what you talked about, just people that are rude. Like if anybody did that in an office building, oh fuck no, HR would be called and they'd be fired.
I went in, there was a different club in Kansas City that I went to apply at, and she basically had me lift up my dress so that I was like in my underwear and like do a little turn for her right around in the middle of the floor because she wanted to like check me out, and she was like, well, I don't think you'd be a very good fit for our club, but maybe try again in a couple months. No, I was just, oh, okay.
I think modeling
So
and
just little stuff like that. And then if you are thicker like me, the clubs that will hire you, a lot of them treat their girls like shit, and they will literally hire anybody because they have such a high turnover rate.
right.
Like the club that I worked at for the longest, I had to work there for a total of 3 years, off and on throughout the 5 years that I danced in total. And I have PTSD. There was a lot of stuff that I wish that I had known back in the day when I did work there. I wouldn't have put up with so much if I knew what I knew now. But after working there for about 2 years, then going to other clubs and then coming back, I was just like, holy shit, abuse is just running rampant. Like I have a video on my phone of the manager holding down one of the girls and spanking her. Well, she's saying no. Like, it was all in good fun. And at the time, I was all like, I didn't know any better. I was like, oh, haha, I guess this is just what they do here. And like a couple of years later, I was going through my camera roll and I came across a video and I was like, holy shit, this is documented abuse.
Right.
What? So just little things like that. And this particular club, I've heard it's been better since the owner died and his wife took over. But in my time that it was there, like the bouncers didn't care about the girls. The dances, it was just so like they would let customers get away with stuff if they were regulars. We would have a couple consistent regulars that would come in and probably pay off the bouncer and just consistently come in almost every night and spend a lot of money. But you could tell that none of the girls would dance with them except for the new girls that didn't know any better and the older girls that just didn't give a shit anymore.
Right.
And those customers would constantly be complained about. And literally, if you went up to the manager and said something, he would say you should charge more or just don't dance with them next time.
It's ridiculous.
I got fired from that club because there was a customer that exposed himself to my friend and then refused to pay for his dance, and the club did nothing about it. My manager gave her $10 and said, here, this should cover the fee that you have to pay. And then basically let him stay. He continued to harass girls, and he finally came over to me and started just being like, you want to come home with me later? Like, blah, 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 blah. And I will admit, I was drinking a little bit that night. I got pissed off and just started yelling at him, like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you in here. Quit harassing us. And I got pulled aside and talked to because I'm not supposed to yell at the customers. And I was already heated. And I was like, here's the deal. If you get a bouncer that does his job, I won't yell at customers. And my boss said, all right, say one more word and you're fired. And I was like, okay, bye. Peace.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in a club that treats the girls like this. It's not a safe environment.
I don't blame you. That's horrible. It just seems that's why those strippers unionized. It's stuff like that. Like, it's terrible. And
for sure.
I'm really glad that things have changed a lot, but like you're dealing with a lot of drunks, and you're dealing with
Oh yeah.
a lot of sketchy, skeezy people who are just in it for the money, that don't care about the protection of the women or men that are involved, and it's shitty. Like, I'm glad that we are moving forward so much in society that like this shit is changing. But
part of it is just people being able to have social media platforms to tell their stories and
right,
kind of get
and
that out there a little bit.
that's what's changing it, I think, more than anything else. It's happened a lot faster since the rise of social media than before.
I try to share my stories as much as I can because I want girls to hear them, because I want girls to hear that stripping is not what you see on TikTok.
Right.
It's not you taking home your stack of dollar bills every night. Like, around here, that's not every night. That's maybe on the weekends, but
Right.
it's been really bad lately. You know, you're gonna have a lot more bad nights than you are gonna have good nights, and those bad nights really take a toll on your self-image and your mental health.
Did you hear about the stripper that is predicting the recession? Did you hear about her?
We all predicted the recession.
So there is a
could
direct correlation. Well, there's one in particular who publishes her findings. I have to look her up. But she basically predicted the first recession, and now she's predicting this one that's coming up that we are clearly obviously in. And the first thing to go that people cut out is pleasures like the strip club or entertainment, like movies, whatever. So I think it's really interesting. You should actually go look up her findings. It's very detailed.
I think I've actually heard of her before.
Yeah.
But no, like about 6 months before COVID, the clubs started getting dead. Even on weekend nights where we would normally have business, even during March Madness, where normally there's going to be like basketball games and a shit ton of business, like it was dead. It was so dead. We started losing girls left and right because everybody was finding alternative jobs. And then once COVID started and everything got shut down, we were all fuck out of luck. You know, most of us weren't even actual, like, I wasn't an actual employee. Like, I didn't clock in or anything. All of my money I made under the table. So I was just fuck out of luck.
So what did you do when COVID hit?
I started doing OnlyFans.
Okay.
Or focusing more. I had an OnlyFans, but I just didn't really do much on it. So I started focusing more on OnlyFans. I made my rent a couple times just doing that because there was definitely a boom. And then there was a couple spots that opened up in Kansas City that were some of the dancers that decided they still had a customer base of regulars that still wanted, you know, the strip club experience. So one girl actually opened up her home and turned it into a speakeasy. I can't.
Whoa,
say
wait,
that, you know,
what?
get her
Like,
in trouble, but
no, I mean, no details, obviously, but like, when did this start? And then how?
Summer of 2020, during COVID, during the restrictions when we weren't supposed to. Like, I'm kind of a bad kid for this.
No,
I mean, to have groups of over 20, but shoot, I need to make money.
I was about to say, people had to pay their rent. Like, people were losing their houses. And at some point you have to say, well, health and safety and quarantine or my life.
Not like I had anybody at home either, you know, like it's just, I'm not really.
Okay, I have so many questions. Was there any sort of, I guess, COVID precautions in place? Nope.
No.
Did anybody get sick?
Not that I heard of. If anything, I think a couple of us got minor respiratory infections because they were allowing smoking inside, and it was a small house, and we couldn't have a bunch of people going outside to smoke because it would alert people that we were having. This was the time where you would get a fine and get in trouble if you had a large gathering of people.
Right.
So we had to try to keep it on the DL, and so we let people smoke inside, and there was weed smoke, cigar smoke, cigarette smoke, like you name it, and it was just. We were hotboxing that whole house.
So, do you just invite a bunch of regulars? You're like, hey, we're just having...
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things, because to be a dancer in Kansas City, you kind of have to depend on your regulars, because you can't really depend on walk-in traffic every single night, especially on the weeknights. Like, the only way you're really going to be successful as a dancer in Kansas City is if you build up a regular customer base that when it's a slow night, you can text them and be like, hey, I'm at work. Come throw money at me. I miss you.
Right.
You know, you want to build that clientele and that client relationship. Some girls definitely would take it farther and meet up with their regulars outside of work. I would occasionally let them take me out for like dinner, or I let one take me to like a symphony one time just to kind of deepen that connection. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's a transactional relationship.
Right. Okay, so you just had how many people were involved in this?
Um,
Like, I
I'd
guess.
say
And did you have
there's
like stages?
there was a rotating cast of girls. I'd say we'd have about like 8 at a time. And then customers, I feel like it definitely seemed like a lot more just because it was a really small space that got filled up pretty quick. But actually, one of the local clubs that she worked at loaned her a bunch of the couches that they used for
Wow.
their VIP room, right? And so she had like the living room and the dining room. It was like one big connected L shape, and she had one pole in the living room, one pole in the dining room. And she had girls like rotate. She had us everybody send her playlist, and she rotated us. And
That's
then she had another
wild.
room that she just filled up with couches, and that's where we did our lap dances.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah, I ended
Stripper
up
speakeasy. Like that,
strippers being busy.
that's wild to me. Like, well, I'm glad nobody got COVID. That would have
Yeah,
sucked.
but I know of. I ended up
Um,
dropping out after a couple weeks though, because I was getting kind of sketched because they were having it every single weekend in the same location, and then they started having it multiple times a weekend. They were doing Friday and Saturday night every
ooh,
single weekend, and this was when once again we couldn't have a gathering of larger than 20. So I was starting to get a little sketch. I made a little money. I was like, I'm out. I
right.
don't want to get caught up and have to pay more fines than I made.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, and then by that time, I'm sure there was the
Well, I
stimulus.
actually got
Did
a
you?
different job in
Oh,
grounds
okay.
maintenance.
Oh, good,
I
good.
started
And
doing
so you
grounds
were
maintenance
still
for a couple
working.
months till the clubs opened up back again. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, after the clubs opened back up, were things better?
Not really. No. I think everybody just took such a financial hit, and then they slowly started letting us open back up, but there was a lot of restrictions.
Yeah.
Dancers and customers had to wear masks. For a while, we weren't allowed to have contact during lap dances, so it was touchless lap dances,
Right.
which a lot of our customers that come in, they want the human touch. A lot of them are just lonely guys that just really don't get touched. Like, I can't tell you how many customers I'd have that would pay me $30 a song just to sit back there and hug me, just
Oh,
because they crave that human connection.
that's understandable.
Um, so that definitely took a really big hit because you really can't rely on stage money around here.
Right.
That's really not where paying your bills is at in the Kansas City clubs. There's maybe a couple girls, but even then, like,
They're all
yeah,
doing OnlyFans and stuff on the side. There's not.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
it's not like it's a Vegas strip club or anything. I
Um,
totally understand.
like every now and again on the busy weekend nights, the stage tips would be good, but it still wouldn't be more than like a couple $100.
Right. Okay. So when you went, what was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, like so to speak? When did you decide you were done with that and then started moving into modeling?
Um, well, I actually started bartending and dancing at the same time.
Oh, that's smart.
Um, and I think after COVID, I felt weird about being touched.
Mm-hmm.
Like especially after all the growth that I went through and learning more about boundaries and learning more about just like I shouldn't have to put up with this. I just had a harder time just dealing with it and just dealing with the creepy men, and I just didn't want that anymore. It just made my skin crawl.
Right.
And I actually ended up having a cyst in my ovaries last summer, so I had to
Oh,
take a couple of months off to be on bed rest for a golf ball size cyst, which
are
was
you okay?
a lot of fun. I'm okay now. Luckily, I didn't need surgery. It ended up going away on its own.
Good.
But it kind of gave me a couple months off to just kind of sit there and realize like what am I doing with my life? I really don't want to be caught up in dancing forever because I see these girls that get caught up in the system and they don't have a goal to get out. Like if you're gonna start dancing, you need a goal to get out because
Well,
it's not a forever job. It
dancing
will eat you
also.
alive.
I was gonna say dancing also segues into like sex work, like prostitution sometimes,
Yeah.
and That's not a direction I think that most people
And
are.
also started getting really bad after COVID too. I think a lot of girls just took really, really hard financial hits during
Mhm.
COVID, and when I came back, it was prostitution is a really big problem in Kansas City, and it messes with my money
Right.
because I'll have guys that are like, well, you're not gonna do this. This other girl said she would do this, so
So
I
I don't
think
need
I'd
you.
rather dance with her.
Right.
The clubs aren't gonna do anything about it because a lot of the clubs are getting a cut from it.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Uh, okay. So you changed your life. You took a lot of time to. I guess that's one of those
Myself,
things.
I
Yeah, a couple.
dressed, played a shit ton of Assassin's Creed.
Which one's your favorite?
I really liked Origins, but I think Valhalla is my favorite just
Still
because
haven't
I'm a
even.
favorite.
3 has always been my favorite, but I know I'm in the minority there when it comes to favorite Assassin's Creeds. I started Valhalla, haven't even gotten close to finishing it. I should just play it.
I
Like
just
I really.
if you play Valhalla, you have to play Eivor as a girl because you get to choose if you want to be a guy or a girl. And Eivor as a chick is so hot.
Okay.
She's so hot. I've never had a crush this hard on a video game character before.
My start let's talk about, oh my gosh. Now you've opened a can of worms. My first crushes ever when I was a kid were video game characters. And they weren't even like fully formed video game. They were like 8-bit
Like super
video.
pixely.
Yeah. So like I had a huge crush. I don't know. Did you ever play King's Quest?
No.
I had a huge crush on Prince Alexander. And I'll put him up on the YouTube screen. But he was my huge crush. And then I was so in love with Meyer Link from Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. And then obviously every Anne Rice character ever created you have like a huge crush on, like Louis, Lestat, Armand, well, Antonio Banderas is Armand for sure. But but going back into it, like most of my crushes growing up when I was little were video game characters. It's just like it's such a, oh my gosh, that's an admission I killed.
Dude, I liked all the goth girls that were in like the cartoons growing up.
Hmm.
Like Thorn from the Hex Girls. I was very into her.
Oh. Hmm. That's a good one. The Hex Girls are hot
Oh yeah.
though. They
Thanks
have
though
no
for
right being as hot as they are. Like who drew them?
dude, honestly, and then their music,
Hmm.
fire. Fire,
So good.
like
All right, let's go back. So once you left stripping and exotic dancing, whatever else, post COVID, COVID changed so much stuff for everyone. Like I
really
don't
good.
even. It's wild. Like it was just a major change in everyone's life.
Hmm.
So when you took your step back, what did you decide? What were your dreams, goals, and aspirations?
Um, I love performing. That was probably my favorite part of dancing was getting up on the stage and busting some tricks on the pole to the music that I wanted to dance to. So I decided I wanted to continue with that, and I did some ice swings performances. I got asked to be in a variety show with my ice swings. That was fun. It was kind of an intro to the burlesque world, which I appreciate burlesque. I love burlesque. I have done a burlesque show before, but my style is a little bit more unique, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more creepy.
I've seen a couple of your performances at like different events and things, and they are not typical burlesque. I'd still say they're like spooky, but
Hmm.
they're more performance art than they are burlesque.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I like being spooky. So I like making my audience scareroused. But let's see. So about a year ago, I was at a in this concert,
Hmm.
and this random drunk girl grabs me from the crowd, and she's like, "Oh my God, you're so hot! I have to take a picture with you." And she finds a random person to give her phone to take a picture of us. And it turns
Okay.
out this random person that this drunk girl picked out was a professional photographer with her own photography business. This person is Anna Dame,
Hmm.
owner of Mortgage Awakening LLC, and we hit it off. She asked if I could do a TFP shoot with her, which, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, it's trade for print.
Right.
Basically, it's when the photographer and the model come to an agreement to do a shoot together at no cost to either party in exchange for both parties being able to use the images for their portfolios. So,
Right.
got together, did a group shot with her, and then she mentioned that she wanted to start an ambassador program, and I was all for it. I was like, fuck yeah, dude, let's do it. Like, I loved working with her. She was so great. She made me feel really comfortable in front of the camera. She helped me like direct me to pose, and it was really, really good experience. And so I jumped on this ambassador opportunity. So I am a morbid goddess. Um, there is 5 of us in total, handpicked by Anna, and we get together every month and do a badass photo shoot.
Some of the stuff is really cool that she's done too. I
Oh yeah, the first one was really cool. She had us all for solo shots for the first shoot for like our induction.
mhm.
And she had bought a really nice pair of angel wings from Etsy, and they're available in her client closet. And she took us out. She took me out to a lake during sunset, and gorgeous shoot. I
Mhm.
love those photos.
Those all of the photos that I've seen, all of her work is so cool. Like
Hmm.
she is goals for sure.
Oh yeah, I love seeing how far she's come. I also work with Moon and Coven.
Hmm.
Her name is Morgan. She lives out in St. Louis, so I don't get to work with her that often. But she's amazing, incredible to work with too. I feel really lucky to have found such amazing photographers to work with right off the bat.
Right.
But I've actually had 2 of my shoots with her published. One of them was published in Delirium magazine in the UK, and then the other one was published in Spellbound magazine in the UK. So that
Cool.
was pretty cool.
So you are promoting yourself mostly on social media, or how are you getting work? I guess is the question.
Um, See, I mostly use Facebook. A lot of my stuff I do myself. Um, I don't work with others as much besides like the photographers that I just listed. I do go to occasional group shoot meetups, but for the most part, I do a lot of like solo stuff. I use Facebook. My Facebook has grown a lot over the last year because I really only started my Facebook last year, and I've hit 45,000. So that was a pretty achievement I'm pretty proud of.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Instagram and TikTok, they're a little bit slower. I think I might be shadow banned on TikTok right now because my content is a little too gory.
Yeah, TikTok. I don't know what they don't. I don't know what they want.
I mean, half my videos I'm covered in blood, so I don't blame them.
Yeah. Um. So now what do you do? Now that we're modeling, now what do you do?
So
Um.
I've actually taken on a lot more responsibility with Kansas City Goths.
Okay.
If you're unfamiliar with Kansas City Goths, they are a community here in Kansas City that hosts different events to bring the goth community together. And I absolutely fell in love. They do an event called Dark Side every other Saturday, and I went out to a couple of those. I fell in love. I went out to Vampire Prom, and I
Mm-hmm.
almost won prom queen. But I was just so enamored. I was like, how do I get involved? So, Bryant and Celiara, they are the current head of Kansas City Goths. It's kind of their dream child that I'm just so much fun to help them with that. And yeah, they asked me to perform for last year's Blood Rave. So I got to do a fun little Isis Wings performance. And ever since then, I've just kind of been just doing more and more with them. And they've recently, um, word fart, hold on. They recently promoted me to admin of their Facebook page. So I've been trying to help with the growth there. I'm doing creature features. So I'm having all of the goths of Kansas City submit their photos to me to be posted on our page. Right now we're at 5.5K followers, so it's definitely a nice little shout out for local creators and whatnot.
So Kansas City Goths was one of my first experiences with the subculture in Kansas City. Can you there's like a lot of spooky here, and I don't think that people realize that it's not just like a flyover city. Like, it's actually a big city that
have some killer events.
Right, there's some really cool shit going on almost every weekend. I know there's Dark Side. I know that there's tons and tons of like EDM nightclubs, and they're growing a lot. There
EDM
is
in Kansas City is huge.
It is getting there. I'm part of a couple of those groups, and they are growing a lot. We're getting big festivals, which is really cool.
There's a lot of crossovers too.
There's what?
Yeah, there's a lot of crossovers too. We get quite a few people from the EDM scene that'll come out to Dark Side. And like we just had a Blood Rave. That was our last event that we just did that I hosted.
Before that was Vampire Prom. I keep missing Blood Rave. I'm so sad.
I missed you.
I know. I'm sorry. I know. I need to get out there. I've missed every single Blood Rave. One was on Thanksgiving, and I couldn't swing it. And then this one, I was just like,
do it in summer for this last one.
Yeah,
did a little better because I actually was doing baptisms all night, so we had a little kiddie pool set up, and I was dressed as my 7-foot tall demon goddess self. And we had a couple different options. I had like red body paint that I could give people handprints. So I had a chalice that I could pour it on people. And I also had a super soaker.
That's cool.
So some people got super soaked with blood. So much fun.
So I saw that there's another event coming up.
Yes. It was just announced.
Can you
just like drop
us a little bit about it?
So Goth clowns. Everybody loves them. I know. I like Goth clowns.
It's called I'm sorry,
Carnival Chaotica.
Carnival Chaotica.
Yes.
Okay. And is this going to be kind of like similar to Blood Rave, Vampire Prom, but all clowns? Or all sideshows, circus type?
Circus themed carnival. Think cotton candy. Cool aerial performances. Hot goth clowns.
I love it. I'm here for it. So what, I guess, if somebody were to come to Kansas City, how would they get involved in the subcultures that we have here?
Definitely Facebook is the best place to start. You're able to, there's different groups that you're able to join. Kansas City Goths has a Facebook page, and they also have a group where people are able to post and share stuff and share their own events. Okay. So that's definitely the best place to kind of get started and get to know people. But then just coming out to the events, I have to say, just pick a Dark Side and come to it.
They're like every other weekend, aren't they?
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
We're trying to do some theme weekends. Last week was Beetlejuice themed.
Mm-hmm.
That one was really fun. We had a lot of people show up in their stripes, and we played the Beetlejuice songs. You know, we posted some videos from that on the page. So that was cute. That was really fun. And then next week, actually, we're doing Nevermore. So Edgar Allan Poe vibes.
I love that. I better see some Edgar Allan Hoes. They better dress up with some like long stockings and just have all the mustaches. They better. I better see some cute Edgar Allan Hoes next week.
At least one mustache.
I'm telling you. All right, so Kansas City Goths. What? Tell me a little bit about what you're doing with Vampire Society, because I saw that page is a little active right now too.
Yeah, so we actually just started activating that page. So Kansas City Goths is kind of just for everybody. It's kind of just all-encompassing, you know, like we want to share you, we want to share your events, we want to share stuff about, you know, goth stuff in the media.
Right.
But Kansas City Vampire Society, that's just for our major annual events. So Vampire Prom, Blood Rave, Carnival Chaotica, the Vampire Ball. There might be a couple more that I can't really say that we might do this winter.
No, that's awesome.
So basically, Kansas City Vampire Society is for the big vampire annual.
Got it. The big sort of festival, goth festival events type. Yeah, right. Okay. Cool. Well, what do you have coming up? Do you have anything cool
Carnival
coming that you're
Chaotica, August 25th.
what about what
This
you're working on? Are you working on
what am
anything
I
cool? Like
working
personal
on?
projects, anything, any art,
Recent
any
projects. I just finished a photo shoot with Moon and Coven,
Okay.
and that one was super fun. It was kind of midsummer vibes because I had this really gorgeous white dress and then a leaf crown. And it started out where we just kind of took some pictures of just the clean dress, but I had like this old saw thing. I
Mm-hmm.
found these like bone saws and antique looking cool weapons at a thrift store.
Cool.
And yeah, started out just kind of like that innocent but slightly off look, and then I just had her spray me with blood, just
Nice.
splatter
I
all
love
over the
that white
dress,
dress
all
on
over
you.
my face,
It's so
all over
cute.
everything. And I had a bunch of body parts that I bought off of Amazon, and just kind of had spread out, and I had a penis on a
I,
necklace.
I love it.
Great. So kind of like a serial killer in the woods midsummer kind of. So I'm excited to see those pictures. Upcoming, we're going to be doing a pretty big Halloween shoot with all the morbid goddesses,
Mhm.
where we're going to do like the horror icon kind of stuff.
Nice.
Looking forward to that. I'm thinking about doing like a sexy Freddy.
I was about to say, who's your favorite horror
My
icon?
favorite. You can't do that to me.
I know. Well, top three. Let's. I can't. I know. Every time I ask somebody, they can't tell me one. So top three.
Oh goodness. I mean, Ghostface is probably up there just because I really like the simple yet iconic design of the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see.
Ghostface thirst traps are on TikTok
Oh,
are
for sure,
so
for
good.
sure. I
Oh,
really like Freddy because I really enjoyed those movies. The whole concept of, he'll get you when you're sleeping, and
mm-hmm.
I like to do the whole I'm a succubus and I'll haunt your nightmares. So I like Freddy. And hmm, this is a really tough one.
I know. I know. I put you on the spot. I'm
Does
sorry.
it count if it's like American Horror Story? Like, does it have to be like the classic, iconic?
No, no. I
I'd
mean,
have to
if you
say one
have
of my favorites was Lady Gaga's role in American Horror Story
the
Hotel. She was
Countess.
so hot.
Oh,
Just that role was just iconic. Just
it
the
really was.
nails, the mm.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
Okay. That's good. That
So
counts.
compelling.
That's iconic. Did you see the
Yeah.
new trailer? I was a little worried about
Yeah.
Kim Kardashian, but now that I've seen the trailer, I'm like, it's
Yeah,
okay.
I really hope the season is better. The last season was
What
okay.
was the last season?
I really it was I think it was about like the leather community. I mean,
Oh, it was New York,
yeah,
NYC.
from, like the gay leather scene and stuff, which I thought I really liked the setting and what they were trying to do with it, especially bringing to life like the AIDS crisis and everything like that.
Right.
But I don't know. I had a hard time getting into it.
It took me a while to get into it, but as it progressed, I liked it. But I felt like they finished it in the middle of the season and just kind of threw a bunch of shit on the end to like keep it going. Um, I I liked the double feature. I went back and because there's some that I haven't seen. Like I'm in the middle of the
Future.
80s. Was it like
The camp.
the camp one? I'm in the middle of that one, and I'm struggling with that one. I want to finish them all, but it's just, I don't know. I might go back and work on some other ones that I haven't seen yet. What's your favorite American Horror Story, like, season?
Season? Mm,
I
probably a tie between Freak Show and Hotel.
I agree. People don't like those ones, but I think they're my favorite ones.
I really I thought the story and all the character design and just everything in Freak Show was just
Right?
really, really amazing. And then Hotel was just sexy vampires, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new season, I think.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's any other projects? You said you got photo shoots, we got Carnival Chaotica coming up. Anything else?
Any other projects? Let's see. I know that the Morbid Goddesses are going to have a booth this year at the Carnival of Ink in November.
Cool.
Anna is going to be offering different photo shoots that you can do. You can just get like a basic one where we take a couple pictures in the booth, or she'll also have like a whole different setup where you can leave the convention and have like an hour long shoot with access to her client closet and stuff.
That's awesome.
So that one's gonna be fun. I'm gonna help her work the booth, maybe bring a couple horns or something to getting into the decorating horns more. That'd be
It's
fun
a
to
lot
kind
of
of
fun.
offer as a, here you could do a photo shoot, and if you want, you can get a cool pair of horns for it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much for joining me for the Coffin Lounge today. Where can people find you?
So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, pretty much everything, just under
Mantis Athena.
Mhm.
Okay. And then where can people find Kansas City Goths?
Just by looking up Kansas City Goths on Facebook.
And when is Carnival Chaotica?
August 25th.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Do you have anything else to say?
Thank you so much for having me. It was great getting to talk with you.
Well, thank you for joining me. Actually, on such short notice, I appreciate it. And I will see you soon. Thank you so much for joining the Coffin Lounge podcast, everyone. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow on Spotify. We're also on iTunes. And I will see you for the next one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.